Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. This video is going to be the first in a series looking at all of the Battle for Azeroth dungeons in Season 4, which has the Awakened seasonal affix. Since this is an intermediate guide, I am going to assume that you have basic knowledge of both the bosses and trash in the dungeon. Instead, I'm going to focus on giving you guys tips, tricks, lesser known facts, and strategies for some bosses and trash mobs. In doing so, I hope to help a wide variety of players, whether you're someone looking to get your plus 15 keys in time to get Keystone Master, or you're someone looking to push yourself as high as you can go, trying to time plus 20 keys and beyond. For these videos, I'm going to be breaking down each dungeon into 3 sections. First, I'll go through things of note regarding bosses, then I'll move on to trash, and finally I will go through dungeon routing. I will also include timestamps for those of you that want to jump around. Now without further ado, let's jump into our first dungeon, the Motherlode. The first boss in the dungeon is the coin-operated Crowd Pummeler. Now this is a very straightforward boss, so I'm not going to waste too much time talking about it. Just wanted to remind you guys that the foot bombs that you launch into the boss do cause him to take a lot more damage, so make sure you are saving cooldowns and bloodlust for when he has that debuff. Moving on to the second boss, Azeroth. First off, I want to talk about totems. Personally, I don't think they're necessary. I think you're much better off just not CCing any of these first ads and just grouping them up and AoEing them down. If you do choose to leave all these ads unCC'd, just be aware when Resonant Quake goes out, make sure you're stunning, knocking back, or disorienting the ads so you don't have more than 1 or 2 ads channeling at any time. When it comes to grouping the ads up, there is a little trick you can do on pull. If you have everyone but your tank stand back by the totem so that they are out of combat and just your tank runs in, the first set of fixates will all go on your tank, so the 4 ads will group up nicely. Next we have Rixa Fluxflame. Now first I want to touch on her Chemical Burn ability. This ability will always go on the 2 closest party members. This means you can reliably bait the debuff onto whichever party members you choose by having those party members just stand inside the boss's hitbox. Now the next thing I wanted to talk about for this boss is the Gushing Catalyst ability. For those of you that don't know, you can look at the top left pipe here. You can see it's spraying a little bit of Azerite, and then shortly after it will shoot the Azerite puddles across the room. This is always shown in this way, so you can always tell where the Gushing Azerite lines are going to be shot. Also, as a reminder, Gushing Catalyst will burst every 2 Azerite Catalyst casts, so start looking for those pipes after the first cast. Finally, we have Mogul Razdunk. Now, I just want to talk about a couple of his abilities. First, the boom bots that he shoots out on pull. A reminder that these guys will glow orange just before shooting their missiles across the arena, so be aware of them as they will continuously relocate throughout this phase. Second was the homing missile, which is the missile that will fixate a random ranged player and explode upon contact. Now I'm talking about these 2 abilities because both of them actually scale with fortified and not tyrannical. I just wanted to bring some attention to that so you're not too caught off guard if you see your group taking a lot more damage from these abilities on a fortified week compared to a tyrannical week, which is where you would expect to take that extra damage from. With bosses done, let's move on to the trash mobs of the dungeon. Now, the Motherlode is known for having very dangerous trash mobs, and there are a couple of reasons for this. First, there are a lot of abilities that require interrupts, so communication is key. This can really punish pugs or disorganized groups that aren't on top of their kicks. Second, there can be a lot of seemingly random group damage, but I do have a few tips that will hopefully smooth out this damage and let you control your intake better. First, I want to start off by talking about the off-duty laborers and their throw wrench. At lower key levels, this can seem like a harmless ability, but it gets very scary at higher key levels, especially on fortified weeks. The pulling strategy for these guys is going to work similar to how the Azeroth strategy works, where if you just have your tank charge into any packs that have these off-duty laborers ahead of your group, all of the laborers will throw their wrenches at the tank, and you won't need to worry about random group members getting chunked down. Next, I want to put emphasis on an ability to not waste a kick on, and that is the Mech Jockey's Concussion Charge. This ability puts an easily dodgeable red swirl on the ground, so you're much better off just moving out of this swirl and saving kicks for more important mobs like the assassins or the refreshment vendors. Speaking of the assassins, this is just a reminder that while you cannot interrupt their Fan of Knives ability, you can stop the cast by using any form of CC, such as disorients or stuns. Moving on to some trash that is similar to the laborers, we have the mine rats. Now instead of having throw wrench, they have throw stone, which they will cast much more frequently, but it deals a little bit less damage. While this seems like random damage, this will actually always hit the closest target. So if you do not want to be hit, you can just position yourself in a way that the tank is right on top, or if you're low health, you can run out and you will not be hit by these stones. The last trash ability I wanted to touch on is the Azeroth Heartseeker from Venture Coast Sky Scorchers. Now this is a very obvious ability denoted by a red line from the Sky Scorcher to the targeted player. However, it will hit the first player in the path, not necessarily the target that it chose. So you can have players positioned in such a way that either your tank or a higher health DPS soaks all or some of these Heartseekers. Do note that they will put a 33% healing reduction on the hit player for 8 seconds, so I don't recommend having your tank soak a bunch of these if you're doing a big pull. Alright, now let's talk about routing. So on screen here, I'm just using a Mythic Dungeon Tool add-on. If you haven't heard of this add-on or you don't have it, I definitely recommend getting it. It's great and extremely useful for planning out routes beforehand for Mythic Plus runs, like I am about to show you. So I've split this dungeon up into a few stages here. So first set, you're pretty much just pulling all this trash up to the first obelisk here. Don't forget to pull these guys behind the building here and behind the building here. You're then going to hop in the obelisk and run all the way over towards this trash pack in front of the first boss. Now you're doing this because one of the most important things in Mythic Plus dungeons is making sure you're getting Bloodlust on cooldown as soon as possible, so you're not potentially wasting Bloodlusts. So you get here, you kill this trash, and then you can Bloodlust on the first boss. Now, after you've done that, you can then backtrack here and kill this trash behind you. Now you're doing this because this trash here, in between the first boss and the start, is a lot easier than doing this trash later on, like before the third boss. So you want to kill trash here. Now, you are able to kill either side of the trash here, so you don't have to pull this bottom side. A lot of people choose to pull this top side. That's perfectly fine. You can do that as well. My default is just to pull the bottom side, but again, either works. Once you kill all this trash here, you then move back up and you kill most of the trash here as well. A big portion of it. And then you're using this obelisk here to skip again right to the boss. Right beside the pillars is a spot you can put the portal, and you'll be safe. You won't aggro this mini boss here, who can get pretty annoying on fortified weeks, even on tyrannical weeks. And then you can kill the boss. You should have Bloodlust up again, so you can Bloodlust here, and then you move down, and you're only killing this one trash pack in front of the obelisk here. This trash is super scary, some of the most annoying trash in the Motherlode. So you're doing as little of it as possible. Just watch this mastermind. He does pat back and forth, so just make sure you're pulling this without the mastermind. And then you're using this obelisk again to skip right to the boss. You're doing the boss. You probably won't have Bloodlust, or you shouldn't have Bloodlust. You kill this boss, and then you just clear the trash up to the obelisk, and you should be at around 100% for that. As soon as you hit 99%, you can go inside the obelisk, as these guys do give about 1%. And again, skip right to the boss. You'll kill him, you'll be at 100%, and then you're going on to Mogul Razdunk. Now, this does change slightly on a teaming week. As you can see, with the exact same pulls, teaming week only puts you at 87%. So, there are a couple options. First option, you can clear trash down here that you did not kill. So if you went bottom side like I normally do, you can kill a few packs here earlier on and be at 100%. Alternatively, you can not kill this stuff, and you can kill stuff later on here. And be at 100% as well. So you have a couple options, whichever you prefer. Personally, again, I do think this trash down here is a bit easier, so I would definitely recommend doing that instead of this, but honestly this trash is not too bad either. So either works, whatever you prefer. And that's it for the Motherlode. I hope these tips and tricks have been helpful, and I want to give a big thank you to everyone who watched this long. Since this is the first video on the channel, I would really appreciate any feedback or suggestions for future videos, either in the comments below or in the Reddit thread that I will attach in the description. I've also linked my Twitter in the description for those of you that want to keep up to date on when I'm posting videos. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.